get ready to think about a truly infuriating behavior. Honestly, a behavior that can be so infuriating for people if it's something that they deal with a lot with people that they have relationships with, whether at work, close work relationships, or close personal relationships, just infuriating. And we're going to talk about that. But listen, before we do, I have to take a step back because I see myself in the camera here and I see how high my hair is. And I've just got to tell you a little self-disclosure alert here. If I don't have just an incredible amount of hair product in my hair to kind of tame it down, to mat it down, my hair just naturally wants to reach for the stars. I see it here. I think it just wants to reach for the skies above. And so just an incredible amount of product it takes to mat that thing down, to harness it, let's be honest. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about a behavior. When you are in really a close interdependent relationship with someone who you need to regularly communicate with, and when I say interdependent, it means they need you for different things, you need them for different things. And so yes, you inevitably are going to impact each other in different ways. Well, as with any relationship, a close work relationship, a close personal relationship, there may come times when that person says or does things that bother you, that upset you, and that, you need to address with them. You need to talk to them about. Here is where we're inching closer to the infuriating behavior, the behavior that can drive people bananas. So imagine you try to bring up the issue, you try to confront the issue. Sometimes when we talk about this word confront, we talk about confronting a person. I don't like that terminology. It almost makes it sound aggressive. Get ready to confront the person. It sounds sort of authoritarian. It sounds almost like the other person's ready to get in trouble. No, it is really confronting an issue where one person is upset. It's really kind of like just talking about an issue, facing an issue where the two of you can look at it together. So you are upset. You try to bring up an issue with the other person, and maybe you bring up, listen, I need to mention, when you said these particular things or when you did these particular things, can you help me kind of understand, what you meant to do, what you were thinking, or let me tell you how that made me feel. And automatically, sometimes with particular people with particular personalities, what they will do is they will automatically deflect. They will automatically start bringing up other issues. They will distract you by bringing up a completely different issue, bring up a completely tangential point. Often they will bring up another situation where all of a sudden, this is what we call shifting the burden of proof. All of a sudden, you are now somehow put on the defensive where you are somehow needing to explain yourself, needing to explain why you said or did something that you did that, again, wasn't even related to the very specific issue that you were trying to bring up in the first place. Okay. So the sequence gets really confused with a personality type that really will not take accountability and have just a two-way, adult, neutral conversation with you about something where potentially they upset somebody, where they may have done something that was a mistake, done something that was wrong. Not necessarily it was so bad and universally wrong, but it's wrong if it upset another person and that person is someone that they care about, right? So here is the problem. Two people in a close work or personal relationship should be able to address an issue when one person is upset because of the other, and they work it out. Each person should be able to listen. Each person shouldn't automatically get ready to go to court on the issue, start preparing their own artillery to fire back. And so if you find yourself in a relationship with somebody where when you try to address with them things that they did that upset you or bothered you, and they won't answer your questions or talk to you about your feelings in a fair way. Instead, they shift the burden to you on another issue. They shift to tangential topics to distract you. They confuse you by bringing up stuff that is just not related. They confuse you. And I'll say it again because that is the ultimate point of when you are dealing with somebody who will not allow anyone to confront them on an issue where they may have possibly done something that upset somebody. They confuse you. Their behavior, what they say and do, ultimately just makes you go, wait, what? Confused. And so sometimes in these conversations, it can even take like 5-10 seconds where, if somebody were to take a snapshot of your face, you probably look like this because you don't understand. You don't understand. So what on earth is going on? First, question to you watching this. Have you ever been in a situation with somebody who does this to you? You try to bring something up to you, you try to bring something up to them, and all of a sudden they start bringing up other stuff that is totally unrelated. And now you're on the defensive and you're supposed to explain to them. Have you ever had somebody do this to you? Maybe, I don't know, did you have a dad do this to you, a boyfriend or a girlfriend, maybe a mom or maybe a boss, maybe even someone you work with? Well, when they did this, what were some specific things that they would say to you that would bother you the most? What were some specific things they said to you? Here's what's important to understand about this personality type who will do this kind of thing with you. They have probably been doing it a long time. A very long time. What they're doing with you is probably a process, a general reaction process that they turn to whenever they feel like it's getting a little hot in the kitchen. They feel like they need to explain themselves or defend themselves. Actually, nobody was trying to take anybody to court. They didn't need to defend themselves. They didn't need to prepare a rebuttal. But that's how these personalities tend to feel. They turn it into this huge attack and then put you on the defensive. And honestly, it's so unhealthy for relationships. And if you deal with somebody like this, it can make you very uncomfortable, but also distrusting. Distrusting. It can make you feel like, well, how close of a relationship can we even have if I can't bring up something that upset me that you said or did? We can't work it out together. There is no collaboration here. There are all these rules that apparently you're sort of writing for the relationship. It's really, really, really unhealthy for relationships. Now, sometimes if this type of personality who does this with you, if it's really extreme and also they have other behaviors, sometimes this can be seen with personality disorders. Sometimes someone narcissistic will learn to operate this way. They will get defensive and shift the blame and shift the burden of proof. Now you need to explain to them. Why? Because with someone narcissistic, it's all about defending this underlying sense of insecurity they have. They can perceive injury and attacks on their ego where you're thinking, wait, that made you feel bad? That was a narcissistic slight or injury, but they are so sensitive to any slight or any injury. Narcissistic personalities. This behavior can be seen in borderline personality disorder. But with borderline personality disorder, their deflection in these moments when confronted, it may have to do with a root that is around feeling rejected. They have these terrible fears of rejection or fears of abandonment that can get triggered. And also, this behavior, if in the ultimate extreme version of it, can also be seen with individuals who have antisocial personality disorder, where there is a manipulative orientation to try to avoid any responsibility or accountability. Those are in extreme cases, but what matters for you is that you be able to identify it. If you are dealing with somebody who you can't bring up issues to when you're upset, when they've said or done something that upset you, and you find yourself getting confused and all of a sudden you are on the defensive, really in those moments, pause. Pause. What is the ultimate treatment for dealing with this kind of personality in those moments of confusion? Pause. Pausing is the treatment in these moments. Pausing. Pausing is the ingredient that you need the most when you feel confused and triggered like that. And a lot of times it can be helpful to walk away, to organize your thoughts and your feelings, and then maybe a little later try to go back again and address it and say, when I brought it up, what worried me here is that I felt like you actually didn't listen at all. And in fact, I feel like you just prepared your argument, your defense back to me, and we didn't get anywhere. So, can we try it again? Can we try it again? And you can also say this. And if I say or do something in a separate situation on a separate day, you can do the same thing with me. You can bring it up with me, and I promise you that I will listen. It's really important to remember when dealing with complex personalities like this, and when you need to bring up things that upset you, to try to think about it as simply as possible. Do one thing at a time. And you can say that to the other person in talking about an issue like this. When they bring up other things, you can say, listen, can we just sort out one thing at a time? First, if we can talk about what I brought up. And then once we sort of get agreement on that, then can we talk about the next issue? You need to keep it organized if you're going to talk. If walking away isn't what you want to try, and instead you actually want to continue the conversation, then take one step at a time, keep it organized and neutral. Because if you don't draw boundaries and hold on to very tight reins in that discussion with them, it will very quickly get out of hand and be completely unproductive. All right. I hope this has been helpful. You can also check out any number of my other videos. I have hundreds of videos on my channel here, Dr. Seth Psychologist, that are meant to be helpful for you.